Hello, welcome to Ardi's workshop. So, yeah, I'll give you a little bit of I think Joy and Rianne have been waiting for me to start. Hopefully, they'll see that the stream's now started and they'll be excited, happy. I don't know. We'll find out. But yeah, this is Ardi's workshop, and this is going to be maybe every other week, maybe every week. We'll see how it goes. But for now, every other week. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be building something that the Cool Cats community's kind of been asking for, or hinting at, or saying they're going to build. So this is. If you didn't know, this is one of the other founders, Linkoid. That's me. And I'm going to be kind of building out some games, some interactions, and some cool stuff for Cool Cats. And yeah, me and Klon have been working on some stuff that's pretty cool, I think. And yeah, we're excited to kind of show you very early work in progress, broken, might look rubbish kind of stuff. That's the whole point of calling it the workshop, right? Is we're putting pieces together, we're building, and we're going to take you along for the ride. So that's the important thing. This is going to be a journey. This is going to take us a while, and this is going to get us some cool stuff in terms of content, but also we're going to build towards something that we can start sharing with the Cool Cats community and playing and having fun with. So the first thing we're going to be looking at, and this is going to take a long time, right? This is not going to be quick. This is going to take us a little bit of time. But the first thing we're going to look at is the idea of a coffee shop simulator. I keep looking over here because I've got it over on this monitor. So I'll share it in a second. But the thing I've got prepped is mainly like prototype graphics that I can run around with. I can kind of fix movement, fix scaling and position and stuff. Yeah, Rianne's really happy. Great, awesome. And Joy's name is Joy, so great. Like, we're all happy. So the thing I will preface this with is this is going to be a journey. I know I've said it, but this is going to be a journey. We're going to have fun along the way. I'm going to try and implement as much as I can from community suggestions. If there's people who are looking to learn how to use Unity or build games, this might be helpful. But also, if there's people who have already been building games and learning Unity, then they can come along, help me. Like, I'd appreciate the help. Also, via me, they can help each other, right? So we can all kind of get together and just build something together. I think it'll be cool. It'll be interesting. So yeah, enough of us sort of ramble. We can kind of get into it and see what we've got going on. Vicky's cottage here as well. A little whoop. Right, let me show you. So I'm going to have to drag stuff over so that everyone can see it. Hopefully that looks okay. Like, I know on mobile this is going to look tiny. There's not much I can do about it. I need a big window to actually like build stuff. Yeah, I can't do much about it, unfortunately. But it is what it is. So what I've done, I'll run you through what I've done already, and then I'll tell you basically like what is it we're going to try and achieve in this Ardi's workshop. So what I've already done is I've set up the main scene. So we've got our main scene over here. We've got stuff like a camera, light, and I've put in a game manager. It currently does nothing. It just has a script on it called Game Manager. So that's just how I like to set stuff up. We've got the environment, which is basically going to have stuff like our colliders to stop the character kind of running off the edge of the screen. and little objects like these tables and stuff that we can move around. And you'll see there's a couple of issues I want to fix really quickly, which is mainly to do with collision. But then there's a couple of other things that I want to fix, which are to do with this little, let me actually zoom in. So this tiny little blue point here is going to be relevant to us. But we'll get to that in a minute. So then we've got, environment, furniture. We've got the player, which is currently this little guy. As I said before, this is like prototype graphics. So this will allow us to get going, moving quick, testing different bits of functionality and actually building something that looks kind of fun. But we know that at some point, all of these graphics that are on here will get replaced with proper graphics, right? And then we've got the bounds colliders, which basically are there's a few in here, but you've got the main one around the outside. We've also then got this little storage room up here, which are like these green boxes. You can kind of see them. So the whole idea of this is obviously you can walk into the storage room and walk past the back wall. And then we've got this, which is the player follow camera. This is, I apologize if some of this gets like a little bit too technical, or if it's like super obvious for you. There's going to be like a middle line where I'll try and hit, but I'll do my best. So we've got this player follow camera. The follow camera is done by a package called Cinemachine, and you can see all the stuff over here. So we've got like the Cinemachine virtual camera and also an extension you can add called Confiner 2D. What the Confiner does, which is very cool, is as you move towards the side, you could effectively have like a big square that goes around the outside, and you could just see all this gray area. Whereas what the Confiner does is as soon as you walk up to the edge of the level, the camera basically sits edge to edge with that, and then you can kind of walk up, and I'll show you an example. I'm actually building a game. So the idea of this is we're in Ardi's workshop and we're building it. So we're going to build it. We're not necessarily going to play games. Maybe I will, like on a later stream or something. But for now, I'm building them, which I think is cool. So yeah, this is the follow camera. The Confiner does something really cool where it stops it from just looking over the edge of things, and you can see this yellow box is where the camera is confined to. And what's really cool about this Cinemachine is it does a lot of the heavy lifting stuff for like cameras. So basically, I can do follow, and I can drop in my player, and basically now the camera will follow my player. So let me show you an example. The other thing we might want to play around with is like zooming out a little bit, because I think at the moment we're a little bit close, right? To I mean, maybe we are. I'm not sure. It's difficult to tell. I know some games they're like super zoomed out. The problem is we don't have a huge environment. So if we don't have a huge environment, it's going to feel a little bit like more like an RTS game, right? You're just going to be able to see everything. So what I'm doing at the moment is I'm basically running this, and once this runs, I'll be able to run. This usually doesn't take this long. I should have run it quickly beforehand, but it's reloading everything effectively. So let me close some stuff down and see if it will help it run a little bit quicker. Here we go. Wow, that helped for some reason. So we've got this little character, and obviously people who know Cool Cats will know that this is blue. So you can see what I mean about the camera. So as soon as I run this way, the camera kind of is following, and there's that little sort of like delay where it slowly smooths in at the end. Well, if you run up, so if you watch here, if you run up to the wall, it then confines it, right? So yeah, we can kind of walk around as blue, right? So we have a couple of things that need fixing. One is, so I've currently got something where when I move, so if I'm moving up and my last looking direction was left, right, is left. If I'm moving up and then I go right, he's kind of moonwalking. So if I'm moving down and I move left and I move right, he's sort of moonwalking again, right? You see what I mean? Like, whereas if I move left and then I move right, it's okay. But we basically got something where when I'm moving up, primarily up, and then backwards, it doesn't quite work. So that's one thing we need to look at fixing. Should be relatively easy. Another thing we've got is with these with this graphics, basically there's like certain pivot points. So there's like a pivot point on 1 second. There's these pivot points on the artwork. So on blue, it's right at the bottom of his feet. So effectively, like, you can imagine this pivot point moving up here. And it's sort of like, really, you'd think he stood behind the table at this point. But what's happening, the pivot point being at his feet, means the pivot point in the middle of the table is like here or like here. So as these feet are moving up, there, right? So there's like, you imagine an invisible line. He's now moved just above it, if that makes sense. So I'll show you a really quick example of how we can test that. But basically, like, if his pivot point is here, then probably as soon as he moves to about there, that's probably where we need this one to be. So let's take a quick look. We've got here in furniture and then the round table. Let's open up the sprite editor. So that's here, right? So basically what we need to do is we need to move this further down. So let's drop it about there. This might not be the best way to do this sort of stuff, but we'll test it. Okay, let's try it again. So there's a couple of little things we can fix, right? That we can easily just fix and change. But one of the things that I want to try and get out of this stream is to implement like an interactable element, which would be really, really cool. Okay, so let's have a look now. So we had that table and we had the issue where it looked like blue had moved through it, but he hadn't yet. So if we keep going, it's probably still going to be too low, right? Yeah. So it's like, I don't know. I might need to check where the pivot point is on some of these because they might be all the way down here or something. Let's have a look. Blue cat. No, it's right down there near his feet. So that's good. Are these all? Yeah, all of these are set to the bottom, I believe. Okay. And then the table. Oh, the table's set to there. Interesting. Let me double check. Did I actually change the right one? Yes. That's interesting. Let's go into here. It's probably because what I've done with these pieces of furniture is I've made them something called a prefab. And what that means is like it's a prefabricated object. Thanks, Vicky. So it's a prefabricated object, which means you can just drag and drop them in, right? So you get loads of different like things. But if I edit the round table, it will edit all of them in the seams. So if you have more than one of basically the exact same thing, it's usually good to create a prefab. So you open it up, and then here we go. Look. So inside here, we've got this sprite. Oops, I just moved it. We've got this sprite sorting point is set as center, but actually we want to set it to the pivot. So now, if we come back out and we run again, let's test it again. So this is something we'll probably have to do. I mean, there is a way around it. We could maybe look at keeping them on the center. The problem is sometimes you want that like fine control over it. So now let's have a look. That's a bit better. Look. It's sort of as soon as it still needs to come down a little bit, but as soon as his like feet are above the pivot point, which we set to about here, he looks like he's behind the table now, which is kind of cool, right? So yeah, a little bit more tweaking, and then we're almost there. I think it could come down a little bit further. Probably, well, I think probably about there. So it's, you know, let's try again. Let's go into furniture, round table, sprite editor. Let's set it at 0.2. That might be a little bit too low, but let's just test it. Let's try again. Yeah, if anyone's got any suggestions of things they'd like to see or things they'd like to work on, then yeah, let me know. Okay, so we are now there. That looks pretty good, actually. Oh, is it still a little bit like? It's hard to know exactly where, right? Like it feels like, well, if Blue's feet are here, like there, that almost feels like he's actually stood behind this wooden block. So actually, we probably need it a little bit more. This is like so much of like game development, right? It's like these tiny little things that you just keep doing. So we were saying about here, right? That's too low. Let's try there. Another thing we might want to do is zoom out a little bit. I think I said that earlier. I think we want to zoom out a tiny bit. That feels like it would make sense to me. Slightly floaty, yeah. So, okay, yeah, that looks pretty good actually, because now he can sort of like walk behind the table. So in front of the table, behind. Yeah, I'm pretty pleased with that. That's pretty good. Like all of these things will get tweaked, right? Yeah, nice. I like that. We've got one more issue where the collider, you can see it's not letting me. I should be able to move further up. So if we go into our prefab, grab the round table, open. Oh yeah, look. So what's happened is because we've changed the pivot point of the sprite's now moved up, which means the where is it? The box collider has also ended up there. So let's move that one up slightly. And I actually think I had it a little bit tall, because if you think about it, the thing that Blue's going to hit, he's going to hit there. So like if his feet are, yeah, I actually quite like that. Let's test that. This is yeah, this is something that I quite enjoy, but it might not necessarily be super super enjoyable to watch, but yeah, I think it'll be good. Okay, so actually there's something else here. This counter has like, I should be able to walk slightly further into this counter, but okay, nice. Look, you see how much closer we can get to this now. we can get pretty close and then walk, and then we can stand here. Yeah, that's looking pretty good, actually. Probably waist height, I'm guessing, is like where you'd be stood for a table. So maybe we do need a little bit taller. Let's open it up and open up the round table. The main reason I'm doing the round table is because it's kind of the one object we've got at the moment that you do sort of walk around. There isn't much else. Okay, let's just double check the actual character. So what I'm doing is I'm clicking on the prefabs down here and I'm clicking open. And then when you open them, you basically go into like isolation mode for that character. So I think that this capsule collider is a little bit tall. I think we need to drop it maybe a little bit. But we'll see how that goes. And then, yeah, you just save, edit, reload, save, edit, reload. But once I've done this and I fixed a couple of the sort of walking around things, we'll look at adding some interactables because I think that'll be fun. Okay, so nice. That's looking pretty good. It could maybe even go a bit more, you know, because if we're thinking blue wants to be able to be waist height, so like now, waist height on the back almost, well, sort of like almost perfectly to there, right? And then at the front, if we want to be there, we need to actually be up more. So let's open up. I think the player still could come down a little bit, like to maybe there. But then I actually think the round table, let's grab that one. Round table could probably go up a bit because if you think blue's not colliding with this, right? It's colliding with this, which is further out. So actually, it's probably more like there. Let's test that. Yeah, and then once we've got this good, we'll look at some interactables. I've got some cool things that I've got ready basically that we can take a look at. Okay, so we walk up. Oh, nice. That is that a bit too close now? That feels like it might be a bit too close. Oh, that's pretty good. His waist. Yeah, I think if you take that edge, is that good? Yeah, I think so. That's looking pretty good. That's definitely way better than it was, for sure. We still got these things, so I haven't sorted out the sprite sorting point on these yet. So it looks all right this side, right? But then this, I could just kind of stand over the top of it. Let's just quickly do the stalls as well. Let's get the stalls looking good. Let's open it up. Let's do custom, and then let's drop the pivot point. I think to about here it was, right? Yeah. So we'll do 0.5. I like to drag it, and then I like to just put in whole values. I have no idea why, but I just like to do that. And then let's open this up. So it's done the same thing, right? Because it's centered off of the pivot point, or sorry, the pivot point is like where this sits. It shifts the sprite up. So when we get that, we have to go back in and we have to change the the sprite again. I think probably about there. And this one's a little bit thinner, so you think like the distance from the center of that wooden pole to here, and then you got to have that there. I think that looks good. Right, let's see how this works. Because if this works nice, then we'll move on to some interactable stuff, which I think will be a lot. That'll be cool. Actually, I do want to just because every time I walk, I go into this, whereas I feel like almost that line, right, is where you want to be able to walk, because you've got to think the cabinet is like that tall from there to there. So like from there to there, you should be able to walk through. So I will change that in a minute. But okay, that's looking better already, right? Like we're now like running around the stall. Yeah, for sure. That's looking way better. Nice. Can I get you a coffee? That's a Blue Cat's official voice, if you didn't know. If you watch the animation, you can tell there's yeah, it's exactly the same. Okay, cool. That's good. Again, with this cabinet, I feel like I should be able to walk behind it more than that. I feel like I should at least go to waste. So let's just quickly go into those ones. Right, let's grab the cabinet. Let's edit that. Wait, why is that a polygon? Oh, I made that one a polygon. That's literally why it's a polygon. Can I? No. There might be a way to do this. So if anyone knows, let me know, because that would be really handy. But basically the way I do it is so I know that that's 3.4. And if that one was like 6.5, no, let's try 7. Oops, 7.25. So now I know that this one, whatever this one is, needs to be the same. And then when you've changed something in a prefab, you can apply it. So if I apply, everything will, that prefab, if I drag another counter in at some point, that will be kind of fixed. So this one is, oops, this one's got a box collider. So if I, hey Espo, how's it going? So if I drag this one up to sort of like, well, actually, Blue Cat's got like there, so that might be a bit too much because he's got his own box collider like this big, right? So if he, or maybe that was right. That might have been right already, because if he's got his collider, he's going to be stood there with like his feet. Yeah, probably. This one's almost there, but it's just like I feel like it was a little bit more. Okay, let's test it, and then we'll zoom out a little bit, and then we'll head on to do some interactable stuff. Yeah, Drowsy, we're just working on a little coffee shop simulator game for Cool Cats. It's obviously using prototype graphics and that sort of thing. Very much work in progress, but we've got some cool stuff working, like layer sorting on the sprites. So basically, Blue's got a pivot point at his feet. The tables have got a pivot point here. So as soon as he moves down through, as soon as those two pivot points pass each other, he kind of gets sorted via basically a bit built-in Unity thing that you can turn on, which is like sorting. Nice. Okay, that looks pretty good. He stood at this counter. He can walk around the little stores. Might move them away because it feels like you should be able to move up and down them, right? Like you should be able to walk up and down them. That's better as well because he's kind of stood there. This one, yeah. So this is actually not bad already because his collider is here at his feet. He's kind of colliding in, so that's pretty good. Oh, definitely need to sort that one out though. Needs to be able to walk behind the counter. So let's do that one quickly. Let's quickly move these ones. So let's just turn this off. So 1, 2, and 3. I want to move them out a little bit more. These ones might be all right. We might even want to move them in to specifically open up this area. Let's move this one over a little bit. Move this one down. This one I think has jumped up because of the because we moved the sprite. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now let's change this polygon. Save. So open up the points on here. Drag this down to like, I reckon it's got to be like there. So that'd be like 6 roughly. So which one was that? -6. There we go. And then the same with this one. Okay, cool. And then whenever you've done anything, if it's a prefab, you just have to apply it, unless you don't want to apply it, obviously. Okay, let me quickly test that, and then I promise we'll get onto the interactables. One thing with the interactables, all I'm really going to do is I'm going to try and add some objects, some little kind of things that you can walk up to. And effectively, the principle is you walk up as a player, you have a radius around you that you can detect if you're near things, right? And then if you're near them and you're looking at them, then you have the option to interact. But what I want to do is I've got E, so you can press E to interact with something. But effectively, what I want to do is get to the point where you can walk up to something, you've got a radius around you that's checking, right? If you're within radius of an interactable. And an interactable is something you can interact with, obviously. So yeah, that's what I want to get to, is you run up, you have a radius to check if there's any interactables near you. You also then check, like, am I facing the direction of it? And then you check, like, here's the bunch of interactables. Now, which one am I closest to? So effectively, that's kind of where I want to get to, and then show an outline around it, like a white outline. That would be pretty cool. But if I can get to that stage and then you press E and it does a console log, I think we've done pretty good. And then I can work on some stuff. Oh, sorry about that. Got a bit of a dry throat. Let me just. Sorry about that. I was just checking. Just checking some stuff. I don't normally talk this much, although people probably say I do talk a lot. Okay. Ooh. Okay. This is going to be an interesting problem. We probably won't tackle it today. But if you have a look at, where is it? We've got, so in our environment, we've got the front. What is that? Oh, interactables. I'm looking at the wrong thing. We've got the front wall, right? Now, what we've got is the idea that maybe the pivot point for blue, for this one, like, he's always going to be behind it, right? Just all the time, because he can't get round to get in front of it. So in theory, he's always going to be behind it. Potentially, but then if he stood here, yeah. I think that's the safest way to do it for now, but we might have to come up with a different solution. So if we want this one, oh, I'm in the wrong thing, I'm in game. If we want this one to always be in front of blue, you can go to the sprite renderer and you can basically set a sorting layer, and I've already set up a couple. So if I set this to, or we can keep it on player actually, so you can either set a sorting layer, which I've already set some up, which is like default hidden, ground, and UI. If we keep it on player, I can set this as 2, and let me just update the prefab. If we keep this as 2, now we should see that the blue is behind it, right? We saw, the reason I saw it is because we saw the sneak of his little foot through the window. So let me hide the front wall again. There we go. It could even go lower, because I feel like he'd be stood here. Let's have a look. Yeah, I think that could go even lower. Let's grab that. Let's lower these to like, let's try 7. Right, and then we'll zoom out and we'll do some interactable stuff. Like I know I've been saying that constantly, but we will. That looks pretty good. Let's hide the front wall. Okay, nice. It looks like he's serving now, right? Like I think that's pretty cool. So it's like, what can I get you? Yeah, probably that is going to be tricky as well. We might have to break things into pieces. It's pretty good though. Yeah, nice. This is surprising. It's such small little things. Just sorting out that sorting point and like making sure that he sort of doesn't collide with weird things in the table. And now it's looking pretty good. Oh, hey, Glom. How's it going? We're mainly sorting out layering stuff. So like we've almost got it. Oh yeah, so Clon like I forgot to mention Clon like very quickly. Oh, my camera's being weird for some reason. Why is that being weird? I got it opened up somewhere else. I don't know. Not sure. Yeah, I was like, Clon, have you got anything? And then like because I just had this weird little white thing that was walking around. And then he was like, oh, let me just quickly do something. It was pretty good. Hopefully everything's still going. I just got a message saying connection lost. So who knows? Who knows if it's working? I've been tearing my hair out with internet lately. Hopefully that's still working. Yeah, something, right? Something. Just so it was like you can see blue, like as opposed to just a white star floating around. But yeah, what we've been doing, Clon, is yeah, I know. It's like, oh, someone over here needs some coffee. That's me. I'm on it. But the yeah, what we've been doing is basically like setting like a pivot point at the bottom, and then like having it so as soon as that pivot point moves through this table, right, then makes blue look like he's behind it. And it's surprising how that little thing has really helped a lot, because it looked like he was floating through stuff, whereas now it's pretty close. But like, yeah, we've just been sorting some of that stuff out, the little stools, and then walking through the counters. So like he sort of stood roughly, that could even go down further, I think, roughly waist height, sort of stood at the counter serving. That looks pretty good, right? Like I think that looks pretty cool. Yeah. This one is going to take a little bit more work because, because he's quite tall. So like that's my fault. Right? Well, I think there's a little bit where it's like there's going to be a back and forth between like me and Clon, right? Like doing some certain stuff. Like it's just going to take us a little bit of time to get into the routine of this. But like knowing exactly like what scale blue is going to be at will determine how high I need to make the doors. I've no idea what's going on with my camera. Am I using like the wrong camera or something? Who knows? Who knows? Maybe it's just this one. Let's try this. See if this is better. I might have been. I can't remember if I have to use the virtual cam or just the face cam. This one seems better though. The other one was flickering a lot. Yeah, I think that's it, right? Like, what realistically, what might end up happening is Clon might shrink blue a bit, and then I might increase the doors a bit, so we meet in the middle. Who knows? We'll find out. But clearly, my door is too short. So the whole idea is that Blue can walk in here, right? And he can be in the storeroom. But like also, he's like, come in for some coffee. You can just advertise straight over the roof. Yeah. Definitely minor for like little dwarves. Because then also look at the height of the table, right? Like the height of that table seems pretty good, but probably if I've just realized probably if I move this table, it's like the same height as the door. Brilliant. Okay, cool. And I thought my drawing looked all right. Never mind. Okay, cool. Let's work on some interactables. So I've already added in. No, these are not the ones I've added in. Let's have a look. I'm going to add in some stuff. So I created some stuff, and I'll show you. So interactables. Let me just grab this lot. I've got a load of stuff over here. Right, where are they? Coffee shop simulator. So the ones I've got is I've got a little cake stand. I've got a coffee machine, a condiment tray, food prep, shop register, and the sink. So let's drag those in, and then I'll show you them. Thanks, Sheepy. Yeah, it's either a table for giants or it's a door for gnomes. I don't know. Like I've just got D&D things in my head, so I'm like gnomes and dwarves. Like, but yeah, Sheepy. We're just kind of building some stuff on the fly. So like some of the stuff is, some of the stuff's like work in progress. We're going to get like sizing sorted. We're going to do some different things, which is cool, which I'm quite excited about. So let me show you what I've got. So I've got the cake stand. This is a little bit confusing, right? I potentially don't need the second shelf in here. Maybe that might be what's making it a little bit confusing. Yeah, I think it's a combination, right? Like Blue's maybe got a little bit too long legs, and then I've done the door like way too short. But like that's what's really cool is we can put everything in, we can move around, and we can kind of find that middle ground of where we want stuff to fit, which will be really, really cool. So yeah, I've got this cake stand that is effectively like you can grab a cake, right? So the whole idea is someone asks for a cake, you can walk up to the cake stand, grab a cake, and then drop them back in, right? So we've got the cake stand, we've got the coffee machine, which is copied directly from the animation. This looks a lot better zoomed in. When you get really small with this, it's like a bit more difficult to see. But yeah, we've got the coffee machine, we've got the condiment tray, which honestly, like, I feel like this is embarrassing. How long it took me to work out how to put like coffee stirrers inside a container was just a disgusting amount of time, because it's like, and you can even see like even when I did it, there's like this weird artifact that's like between them, because effectively I drew the little containers first, and then I was like, wait, but this section of the container needs to be behind it, and then this section needs to be in front of it. So I kind of duplicated it, but then it had this weird like stroke thing that went through the middle. And then I got to the point where I was like, it literally doesn't matter. Like this is prototype graphic stuff. This is going to get replaced anyway. So I was like, do I fix it? Do I not? I was just like, oh, I'm just done. I'm done with this stupid condiments thing. Yeah, honestly, I was like, it's one of those things where I was like, oh, I can message Klon, but also like it feels like such a waste of time to message Klon. Like, oh, can you can you show me like how to not be an absolute noob in Illustrator? But yeah, at some point, like that would be awesome if you could show me, because I was like, there must be an easier way to do this, right? Yeah, but anyway, we've got the little food prep one. If someone wants a sandwich, we've got the shop register, which this is probably my least favorite. Like I copied it from the animation again, but like I don't know, there's something about it, it just doesn't really have any life to it, right? And there's something about this that I didn't like. It feels like that needs to come round and then cut that off so that it looks like it's actually going in. So I think I need to cut that off. But again, it doesn't matter too much, right? It's just like prototype stuff. But sync. I don't know why. That made me laugh. Sync. It's a sync. So all of these sort of things, right? Like the cake stand, you could grab a cake for a customer that wants a cake. Coffee, obviously, that's going to be the main idea of the game, is you can go and make a coffee for someone. The condiment tray, the thing I thought that would be cool with this is it's like the condiment tray slowly decreases in terms of like stuff in it. And if it gets to 0, like customers could be unhappy. So it's not that you're getting a condiment for a customer, it's that you are like you need to make sure that it's full up so that customers are happy. That's kind of like one of the admin tasks, if you like, of running the shop. One will be like, cleaning, one will be filling up the condiments, one will be making sure you've ordered enough coffee for the next day, that sort of thing. Yeah, I kind of like that one. Also, that one will be over here, so it means you need to move around a little bit more rather than just being zoned in this little area. Food prep, again, like if someone orders like, I don't know, like a breakfast sandwich or something, we could have that as like an extra little thing that you could prepare for people. Shop register, obviously, where people pay, and then the sink, where I think what would be really cool with the sink is the idea that like stuff builds up, right? And then when you get to a limit of how many plates or cups or whatever you can store, you literally can't serve anyone else until you do the washing up. Like that would be kind of cool. Because it's slightly different, trying to add slightly different things to it. Okay. What was I going to do? I don't know. Okay. Yeah, no, I know what I was going to do. Let's start off with the shop register. I know that's going to be no, let's do the coffee machine. It's a coffee simulator. So what I want to do is I want to create an empty object, and I'm going to call this what do I want to call it? I'm going to call it, for now, I'm going to call it an interactable. And then when I drag them out, I can rename them. So this is an interactable. It's going to have a sprite renderer, so it can actually render stuff. And then we're going to go for the shop register. Oh no, wait, we were going to do the coffee machine, weren't we? Coffee machine. So the ordering layer is important, but generally speaking, that's going to be blue. Probably won't lean over it. So let's try foreground for now. Yeah, right. Like, how cool would it be if you're like, can I get a chug special, right? Yeah, just stuff like that. Like, I feel like we need to incorporate loads of the story and those sort of things into like just everything. So we've got the sprite renderer. What we don't need is let me just move it over. Oh, it's already on there. Crikey, I can't see the there we go. So here's our coffee machine. What we don't need is a box collider. Because generally speaking, that's going to be on a counter. So we don't need any like physics for this yet anyway. Like we may need it to explode and fly around fly around the coffee shop, but we can do that at a later point. So we've got our main interactable. Now what I like to do is this isn't necessarily preference. This is probably good practice, right? So when you've got an interactable, if you've got something that you're going to repeat and you're going to do a lot of, you want to create a prefab. So basically I drag it into here and you see how it's gone blue. So basically what this means is like I could literally now delete this from here, but I still have everything that I just made. So if I drop this back in again, you can see it's still there. So it's like a copy of it that is outside of the game world that you can just create on the fly. So for example, if we had like the food prep station and you hadn't upgraded yet to unlock it, you can basically like pay to unlock the food station, and then all of a sudden the food station kind of is copied into the game, if you like, or pasted into the game, which is cool. So this is our little coffee machine. The next thing we want to do is we want to set up a couple of scripts in here. So I don't know why I've done these in particular, but they're there, right? But let's create one called interactable. So I'm going to grab this. This will load up now. So so just so everyone knows, I'm a big fan of AI stuff. Like it never works like straight away. Like it's always broke. But what it does is it saves me a ton of time to just like, so for example, I can go and I can say to ChatGPT, can you make me an interactable interface in Unity for a player to interact with? So basically that will go off and that will create all of the like base stuff for me. Like, and if there's any rubbish in there, I just delete it. But it saves me a ton of time because basically it will create an interface, and it will probably be super short, right? So basically, if I now come back here, so we've got our interactable. Now, if we want an interface, we can call it interactable. You don't have to call it this. What's annoying is I'm using my second monitor so that I can stream to everyone, but it's so small. I might have to get another second monitor. So interactable. The reason you put in front of it is it just lets you know that it's an interface. That's just like good practice. It's not necessarily required, or at least I don't think it's required. I assume it's not. You'll find out. I know very little about coding, but that's why if there's any game people, they can tell me I'm doing it wrong. Okay, so we've got our interactable. So let me show you. This is basically what we've got, right? This is our interactable. It's very basic. There's not much to it. Oh wait, is that something to do with me, Con, or is that just found the link YouTube chat? Now I see Sheepy's comment. Is it delayed or something, or is that just am I just reading way too much into it? It's not relevant at all to me. Oh, I think I get it now, because you're on YouTube. Cool Cats. Is Sheepy on my YouTube? So so it's weird, right? Yeah, because in the chat it looks like they're all from YouTube, but there's two YouTubes. I get it. No, that's actually interesting. Yeah, that's interesting to know because of the little YouTube icon, right? It's like which YouTube. Okay, cool. So we've got this, and then what ChatGPT made for me is something very basic, and this is what I kind of like it for. It's like, okay, cool. Now I can get going, right? Like, so we've got something which is called it's a interface, and it's an interactable interface. Now we've got a Collider 2D. Why would it require a Collider 2D? Not even sure if it's using it. Let me. Oh, yeah, we need a collider actually because we'll have to do a trigger at some point. So basically, we'll have to detect like if. So basically, what I was talking about before with the idea that blue has like a radius, right? We'll have to see if like the radius collides with a interactable. So like his like interact radius, right? It'll be way bigger than he is. So as he moves along, he'll nudge into the coffee machine, and then we'll be like, "Oh, there's an interactable within my interact radius." So yeah, we will need a collider. That's what AI is good for, right? Like, oh, this is C sharp, C sharp. Yeah, this is C sharp. I I don't know if it's even supported anymore, honestly, but I know Unity used to do JavaScript at some point. I don't see anyone using it, so they maybe dropped support for it. But yeah, I'll be perfectly honest. Like it, C sharp is a little bit confusing to me sometimes, but it's also really cool. So yeah, I really enjoy it. Oh, actually, we can do this. Is this better for everyone? Did that do this as well? Oh yeah, look how much bigger that is. That's got to be better, right? I feel like I feel like I shouldn't be laughing at that as much as I am, but it's like nice bit of music humor. Um, um, text area, prompt text. So it's put some stuff in here that we might not need, right? Like this is just added something. It's like this is if you can see it and you can interact with it, this is what I will do. I'm going to remove that for now because I actually don't want that. I'm going to do a UI. So we can also remove this. So effectively all the AI is done for us at the moment is, yeah, we can remove this as well. So all it's done for us is it's basically implemented an interface. So you have to implement an interact function, and the interact function has to pass in the player, right? So we've got this interact function because we've extended iInteractable, which is basically what you do after this, right? After this class, you extend like usually interfaces, but like you can extend other other classes. So all we've got is we have to have a Collider 2D, which makes sense. We have to have we extend the interface, the interactable interface, and then that interface says you have to do this if you want to extend it. This is the interface, so this is what you have to do, right? And what that interface says we have to do is we have to have a function which is an interact function that passes in the player. Cool. So let's just move this back over here. Whoa, that's font's massive now on this screen. Let me just get it back to normal. Okay, cool. So now what we want to do is we want to grab our interactable, and what I'm going to do with this, I'm going to open it so we're in like prefab editing mode. And then we want to drag on our interactable. Oh, it's saying, so let's add a box collider 2D. So saying to have this, you have to have a collider. So what we're going to do is we're going to have our collider as a trigger, which basically means it can be recognized in code, but it doesn't necessarily have like physics. It's not going to sort of like stop you or do anything. I mean, if you hover over it, it behaves as a trigger. So you can think of it like, oh, you hit into it and it triggers something, like it signals something, right? As opposed to doing anything. So there's our box collider. It's got it pretty good. That looks good to me. So we'll leave that. And now we can add our interactable. So we drag that over. So let me just see what we've currently got, right? So we've got this interactable, we've got an interact function. We've also got this, this like thing, right? What I've also done is I've got this player script. Let me show you this. This is probably going to look awful to some people. I've got this player script. Let me just, and effectively what I've done is I've added things like it requires a rigid body. You've got movement speed, controls, which is that's something that Unity allows you to do with the new input system. So these player controls, basically, I created one of the new input system things. I clicked to generate the class, and then Unity generates the class for me. I can show you, but generally, this is not something I've done. So yeah, you can see this is auto-generated by Unity. It's just like that stuff, right? All I've really got at the moment is I've got move and interact. That's the only two things I've got. But what we can do is basically, what's that weird thing? Some weird thing crawling across my microphone, like bug or something. Go away, bug. I've got enough bugs in this code. So I've got a function here called interact, right? So if I press interact, which is from those player controls you've seen before, why's that bug coming back? You go away. It just wants to run towards me for some reason. Oh, it's going that way. How funny. I'm so like easily distracted by stuff. Right, as long as it's going to leave me alone, I'll leave you alone. I know, right? Like, got enough bugs in the code without having a literal bug. It's like people will just watch the stream now and assume that's like what's happening. Like, oh, when people talk about bugs, they don't mean bugs in the code that they have to fix. They mean literal bugs. Okay, I'm so sidetracked. Right, so let's test this. So we've got our interact button. So let's just quickly make sure that's working before we do anything else. So this actually won't matter if we're near an interactable or not. So we can walk around, and then if I press E, you should be able to see down here. There you go, interact pressed. So you can see every time I'm pressing an interact, it keeps coming up. But what we actually want to do is we want to check if we're in range of an interactable and we're facing towards it. So this is where this comes in, right? So let's grab our code. Okay, so let me just quickly, does anyone have any opinions on how close our camera is? Are we thinking this is better? I'm trying to think like Stardew Valley, right? Like, I know it's outside, so it's slightly different because obviously the house is tiny, and when you go in it, the house is huge. But I'm like wondering if it looks a bit better. This feels better to me. This sort of zoomed out a little bit, right? I don't know. That feels a little bit better. So we can change it on the fly. Like, so like originally we were at 8. I put it up to 10. I think 10's nice. 12 feels like too much, right? Because you're basically here at one end of the coffee shop, and then you're here. Are you thinking 10, Klon, or are you thinking like where it's currently at? So we were at 8. That's where we currently were. That's like where it's always been, right? And then I zoomed it out to 10. Okay, 10, cool. I mean, this all might be irrelevant anyway. Once we get the graphics updated and we're like, oh, we've made blue tiny and the doors are tiny or whatever. But I think 10 looks good too. It feels nice, right? Like it feels like actually, yeah, 10's nice as well because it feels like if you're stood here, you can see people like at the table. You can maybe, yeah, you've got a bit more of a view of things and it doesn't take too long to get across. Yeah, okay, let's go for 10. 10 seems cool. Okay, let me drag this over. So the first thing we want to do I'm just going to add this. Oops. Interaction. So the first thing we want to do is we want to like interaction range, right? So if we do a private float, let's call it interact radius, and then let's do 1.5. We're gonna have to test that radius because I don't know if I've made these graphics massive, right? And then let's do an interact origin. So basically what we'll do is we'll do an origin from where we're interacting, which effectively we can actually put it like in hands and stuff. And then the other thing is we want to basically do a private transform of, actually, we'll make this the I interactable and then current interactable so that if we move out of range of any, right, we can clear that out. But if we're in range of stuff, we can say this is the current interactable, right? So then I think what we want to do is we want to, where are we going to put this? So interact is here. So let's do private void detect interactable. This is probably something I'd get AI to just like whip up the actual function for me because it's just easier, right? So what we can do with this though is then once we've got this, so if I do private void, and let's do if current interactable is not equal to null, then we can do current interactable dot interact, and then we pass in the player like we did, like we saw in the function. So when we pass in the player, this is the player script. So basically when we want to pass this in, which is this player, we just use this, which is the this keyword. It's like a tongue twister. Okay, so we've got our interactable. Yeah, okay. Let me yeah, I think 10 is nice for currently testing. Like I think like, yeah, we'll find like there might even be like a mechanical or functional reason to have it at like 10.5 or 11.5, right? Like we might specifically want to cut something off so you have to walk around to check the shop on purpose every so often. There might be some mechanical reason that we specifically want to set a zoom. But once we got more of it going and maybe more graphics and stuff in, we can work on that. Okay. Right, I'm currently getting AI to do this function for me. We'll see if this is going to work. Generally speaking, it needs some changes. So we've got this thing. What's this done? Excuse me. And then basically, when we do this, we want to detect an interactable. Okay, so let's read through this to make sure we know exactly what's actually going on with it before we just rely on the AI. Oh yeah, that'd be cool. Actually, we definitely would want that function of like zooming out, even if it's like we'd want to build it at least, right? So that if, for example, it's like Chug's rampage, like you'd almost want to freeze your character, zoom out, and you can see something going on. Like it could be a cool cutscene as well, right? Like you've just unlocked the coffee machine. All of a sudden, these two like dodgy delivery guys come in and they're knocking the tables over and they plonk the coffee machine on, but you're seeing the full view of like the cutscene like happen. So yeah, we definitely would want. Yeah, I think zooming out as like an option of like almost like a mini map, right? Like so you zoom out to see everything, but you can't move, and then you kind of zoom back in, and then you can go and deal with the thing that you've just looked at by zooming out. That would be pretty cool. It does make me think we might want to make the shop wider, but that's kind of tricky, right? Yeah, also like the upstairs would be interesting. Like upstairs, like I've seen some stuff that I think it's the Readyverse, right? I think I saw it on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. They had the upstairs and it had like arcade machines in. Like that would be kind of sick. You could go upstairs and there's little arcade machines. Yeah, I love increasing the amount of work for myself. Okay, right. Let's have a look at this one. So I'm gonna talk through what I think this is doing, right? One, to just teach myself because the AI is just giving it to me, but also two, to make sure that nothing's wrong and maybe to try and like learn some stuff, right? So we've got oh hey Tank, how's it going? We've got this physics 2D overlap circle all. Basically what it's saying is when you've got this radius that is on the collider, and this is going to be our interact position and then interact radius, right? It's going to detect what is overlapping, so there's colliders, right? So basically when this circle overlaps anything, it's going to then check what the hits are, and then it's going to loop through these hits, right? I think there might be a way to make this a little bit better. So let's go to definition. It will take a little while, but so every time you see this and it repeats itself, it's like an overload, so you can use different ones. So okay, here we go. So we've got this layer mask, and with the layer mask, what you can do is you can basically is it explaining layer mask? Here we go. So if we create a layer called an interactable layer, basically it's more performant, right? And the AI hasn't done this for us. This is where you run into issues potentially because the AI just hasn't done it. You can ask it. Obviously, I could go back and say, "Can you add a layer mask?" But without knowing that you would want to add a layer mask, like it's not done it. So what we can do is we can add a layer called interactable, and what's really nice about that is it makes it more performant, right? So it says I don't care about anything that's not an interactable, and because this is an interact function, that's probably what we want to do, right? So here what we can do is further up we can go to interaction, we can do private. This is where I need to ask AI because I forget stuff. Layer mask. Oh, maybe that's all right. But actually, we want to be able to set that in the editor. So have I spelled that wrong? Serialize field. I always put serialized for some reason. But basically, if you put that in front of private, what that means is we'll be able to change it in the editor, but other pieces of code won't be able to change it for you, which is really useful because sometimes you might be like, oh, I need my layer mask, blah, 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 and you grab it. What you end up doing is you end up assigning it, but you don't know you've assigned it. But if you set it as private with serialized field, it means it is private, but you can set it in the editor. So I'll show you what that means. But what's cool now is we can come in here, we can add our interact layer mask, we can save. So now our hits will only include anything on this layer mask. And this will make more sense when I go into the editor and show it. Closest distance is obviously like it's less than this. That's going to be something I have to look into. I don't quite get that at the moment. So the nearest interactable is currently null. So when it's detecting, it will set it to null, and then it will go through all the hits, right, that it's got up here. So anything that has currently been hit will basically be like a collider, right? Because the colliders are the things that hit each other. Oh, hey Lou, how's it going? Hopefully when you see the other thing, this will look even sicker. So basically, yeah, we try and get an interactable out of it, which now we're using this layer mask, it should be fine, right? But if we weren't using the layer mask, we might have collided with stuff that wasn't right. So we've got the direction to the target, basically from the current transform dot position, which is the player, to the collider of the interactable, and that's where we'll find the direction, right? And now we need to work out if the direction, so the direction to the target, is where we're currently facing. So this is where like last direction comes in, and this is why I've added this last direction in. The only problem, generally speaking, is this is like Stardew Valley, right? So we're not necessarily going to have stuff like up, if it makes sense. So this is something that will probably end up breaking, I imagine. But we'll see. We'll see. Because what happens is you can run up, right? But your character's still facing right. So, but we also might want to do it so that you can run up and you can run down. We'll have to look. That's like a design question, right? Yeah. I think this is probably going to break at the moment. But yeah, cool. We can try it. So let's we've saved this. So now in our player, you can see we should have a couple more things in our player script. So we've got this interact layer mask, which is currently set to nothing. Now what we want to do is we want to actually create a layer. So if we go to add layer, we can add some layers. So if we add interactable as a layer and then save it, then we go back to our player. Now we can add interactable, right? So apply. Now what's cool is we go back to our interactable prefab. Where is it? Interactable prefab, interactable. We can go into the layer it's on and we can set it as an interactable, right? So what's cool is now we should, I mean, I'll see. I've got a feeling it's going to break, right? But let's test it, see what happens. Yeah, something has broke. we've got something broke here. What's really cool though, I'll just collapse them. And then if I double check, this is breaking. Why is this breaking? Why is it? Oh, it's because we haven't set this, and we actually need to set this as a serialize field. I like to put all these on the same layer. So this is going to be our interact origin. So if do we need anything else? I don't think so. So our interact origin, the reason this is broke, right, is oh, hey, hey Stubby. The reason this is broke is because why is that ASMR comment really thrown me off? I was like thinking properly then, and I'm like, cool, thanks. Someone tell me what I was doing. It was on the player, right? Player. So in our player, we can create. If I open it, we can create a empty object, and we call this interact origin. What's cool is if we move this, we can kind of set it more to be like, like maybe there, right? So it's like you want him stood kind of right in front of the machine. So what's cool about this is we can test this. It may be that actually we want this further up, but this gives us control over where we want the interaction to be. So now we go into the player. You see we've got this interact origin, so we can drag this in, and this is basically where our transform is going to be, right? So now we shouldn't get anything broke. And that's all good stuff. It was just funny because I was like chatting, and then I was like, I literally have no idea what I was supposed to be doing now. Okay, cool. So we can run around. Now, if nothing's happening, right? So naked blue cat. No, he's wearing a it's not actually blue cat, it's Ardi just wearing a costume. Wearing a big onesie. Okay, so this is where I was saying this is like feels like it's broken, right? So this is where we need to start debugging it. And this is where sometimes, like, obviously if you were really good at like coding, which I'm not, like this is where AI can slow you down a little bit. So let's have a look. Let's just see if any of the hits come back. So debug.log collider. So let's see if any hits come back from that. Then let's see hit interactable. And actually, this is something I like to get AI to do. So if I ask it, draw me, yeah, it's actually already given it to me, which is surprising. I must say that's something I like. So basically what this does is this will draw me a sphere and show me my interact distance. So this might be where we're off, right? So this is detecting interactable. Let's debug.log interact clicked. Oops. And then let's also debug.log the current interactable. So this will tell us kind of if it's null or whatever. This will tell us if we've collided with anything. So let's just call it detect interactable collider. In here, let's do, and then let's just do that. And then down here, it probably is this facing thing, I'm imagining. But let's just, after this, let's do is facing. So is facing, and then is facing. And then let's do, I just like to do all these. It gives you all the information, right? Let's just do this. Right. Unity will reload, and then we'll see. Oh, sorry, Sophie, I missed. So yeah, the whole idea is this is going to be a journey. This is what I'm going to do on Ardi's workshop. We're going to slowly work towards building like a coffee sim game. So you have to run the milk jug, right? So currently we've got some prototype graphics in here that are going to look a bit janky. But they're really useful, right, for us to be able to get going and kind of build some of this stuff out. But yeah, it's like a blue cat game, right? So yeah, what we've currently done is we've added some layer sorting, some ordering, which is really cool. And then what we're going to do after, what we're doing right now, is we're making interactables. So like effectively I can walk towards the coffee machine. Ooh, interact clicked. Current interactable is null. So this is what I think. So if I turn the gizmos on, right? So this might not make anyone else laugh, but the interactable is the radius which I can interact on is tiny. And I think that's because I've made all these graphics massive. So I need to increase this to be like maybe 5 or something. So let's grab. So this actually, what would be easier is if we set this as a serialized field as well, so we can increase the distance of it. And then we'll test. Sometimes we just have to sit and wait. Okay. Right, let's retry. Yeah, like genuinely, like I could imagine like you stock up on stuff, right? And then you could see Kira's hand come through the fracture and just steal some of the stock, and then the fracture disappears again. Just like stuff that's like slightly annoying, but also a little bit funny. That would be really cool. So, oh, I didn't change. Okay, so I didn't change. I haven't actually. I've just made it a serialized field. I haven't actually changed the radius of it. So if we go to this and we set it to like 5, see, look, now that looks big, but that might be right. That might be right. Let's try 4 and let's apply it. Yeah, like another thing that I remembered is like from the Wandering Territory, you can get like rare resources, right? So maybe you have to like buy stuff from Kira, and she's clearly ripping you off, but like you could get stuff like some rare ingredients for like coffees and stuff. Like that could be kind of cool. The idea that you can only get them through the fracture, you have to unlock the fracture to buy. Again, my internet's awesome. Type a 1 in the chat if you can hear me. Hello. Am I back? Are we back? Are we doing it? Ah, cool. I think what happens is I'm using the Restream Studio, so I think like when I disconnect, sometimes it will keep me connected, but then like when I'm proper disconnected, I just need to refresh. So what's weird though is I saw yeah, it's like what's weird is all this blue stuff came in front of me, and like this hand grabbed me. I'm like, ah! And I was like, "Stop! What are you doing to my internet?" I'm back. I'm back. uh, okay, cool. We are definitely back. Right. So what I was explaining is like there's these cool things that you can do in code where you can get it just inside the editor. Well, not just inside the editor, but just when you're developing the game, you can get it to draw things called gizmos. Oh, hey Van, how's it going? Yeah, basically you can get it to draw gizmos for you, right? And the whole idea of it is that it can show you stuff that's happening in code. So you can see there's my collider underneath, but the thing I really want to see is this interact radius I've got. So I can turn these gizmos on and off. But now if we run towards something, there you go, look, all the hit stuff's happening. So this knows that we've got an interact thing. So now if I press interact clicked, current interactable, interactable was interacted with. Oh, that was a mouthful. So we've got it working, right? Like we've got a little interacting working now, which is cool. And basically it was because the interact radius wasn't working. But what I've got a theory on is if I clear all this out, if I move blue up slightly, the last facing direction was up now. But if you look on screen, he looks like he's facing, right? So if I now interact, nothing was interacted with. So I can fix that by only detecting left and right. Like that's probably how we want to do it. The problem is we also, this will be a design choice for the game. We also may want to have it so that blue, we actually do have a sprite where blue is looking up, because we might want to have blue, or whoever the character is, being able to look up towards something to interact with it. So like this door, for example, we might want to walk up to the door and be able to press E to open it. And really you'd want to be looking up towards it. We may not want to do that. I'm just saying this is like something that we'd have to think about. So let's have a quick look at that, see if we can get that fixed. So it's in here is this facing thing I was talking about. So what we actually don't want to do is we don't want to use the last direction. But what I've added in here is I've added the last horizontal direction. So basically last horizontal direction, if we, so it will either be left or right. So basically it's checking, right? Is it to the right of the character or is it to the left of the character? In theory, that should fix everything. But let's actually, we can remove some of these now. We can get rid of this. We can get rid of this. Blue is aware of us. Look at his face. staring at the chat. Right, now let's test it. So what we want to see is if we've fixed the thing where if I am actually looking at it, but I pressed up, it's not looking at it. So let's take a look. Right. So I'm looking at the coffee machine, right? I press E. I've interacted with it because you can see it says interactable was interacted with, right? Now, if I move up slightly and press E, well, I collapse them so you can't see it. So if I do it again, let me just... So if I only move up, I am technically in the interact radius. It still works, right? So that's cool. That's cool. We've got an interact system. Now, I wonder if that radius is slightly too big. Maybe like 3.5. That feels good. Like you need to... Let's try that. That looks too big because like it feels like you're going to be able to... it feels like you need to be able to get a little bit closer to it, right? So let's turn the gizmos off. Now, what we want to do is, so when we're detecting an interactable, we can have something in here inside this interactable, which we can have an interface as well, actually. So we can do something like so inside here we can basically do why can't I think of anything? why can I think of anything? All right, so we set a private ball like is current interactable. So, and then we have a public public void toggle is current. So if, oops, come on. Oh, I hate it when it formats it like that. So if is current interactable, then we'll set it to false. I know there's a cleaner way to do this where you do the like ternary or whatever it is, but I don't like it. So basically what we've done is we've added a Boolean to say, is this the current interactable we're looking at and the one we can interact with and the closest one, right? Because what I want to do is I want to try and do something cool. So, and then we toggle it. So we toggle is current interactable. So if is current interactable, so if it is true and we toggle it, we set it to false. If it's not true and we toggle it, we say it's true, right? Does that make sense or not? So now, whenever we're setting the current interactable, which will be here, and that's the nearest, we can do nearest dot toggle. Why can't I do that? Interactable. Oh, okay. That's because it's in here. So if we add this, we do void. Let's do that, and then let's stop it. So now what we can do is we can do a private void animate can interact, right? So then further up here we can also do private animator, and then on animator, oops. And then let's just do set ball can interact. Why have I done that? Right, so we'll do if is right. I'll do that. I'll type this out and then I'll if is currently in and then set false. So and then down here, whenever we toggle it, we'll toggle if it can currently be interacted with. Interact, get component. Okay, so yeah, this is Visual Studio Code. So it's like C# and stuff for Unity. So let me. Oh, actually, I don't know if you could see any of that, but let me make it bigger. So effectively, what I've done is I've added an animator component, which is built into Unity. So I'll show you how that works. And then I've got a private field for the animator. And then as soon as any interactable starts, it will assign to the animator an animator component. What you can do is you can add more requires up here if you want to basically make it require like an animator. I'm using a prefab, so sometimes it's not like needed as much, right? Like you can if you want. It's just a protection thing. Probably not a bad thing, I guess, to protect something. So what I'm doing is I'm adding an animator, and then whenever I toggle is current interactable via the player code, which basically is only when it's got the nearest interactable we toggle it, which I just realized is yeah, we'll need some way to like untoggle it because this is basically showing it as toggleable, but actually once we're no longer colliding with it, we want to untoggle it again. So we'll deal with that problem in a minute, because basically what we'll do is it'll turn on, but there's no way to turn it back off. We just basically need to. There's like a function you can use when you can detect if something's like moved out of the collision like type thing. Okay, so let's just test to see if we can get this working. So what we're doing is we're basically toggling it, and whenever we toggle it, we set it to is current interactable, and then we also animate it. So animate can interact. And what I'm doing is I'm setting a Boolean to can interact to true or can interact to false. So now we've done that. If we go into our interactable prefab, open it, go to add a component. For some reason, that's gone off the edge of the screen. Not sure why. I'm adding an animator component. So I like to put all my animations up in art. So let's do a folder for animations. What one are we currently working on? The coffee machine. So let's do coffee machine, create animator controller. So coffee machine. So now we can drag the coffee machine over into the animator. Right, so we've got no clips on here yet. So what I always do, generally speaking, is when I create a animation, I'll create it, and then why did I just put it? Interactables, animations, coffee machine. Here we go. I'll always create an idle, but I like to call them stuff because otherwise I get confused. So like coffee machine underscore idle, save. Now create a new one. Coffee machine interact. Right. So let's just do something. Where are we? Let's just do something a little bit weird with it and something easy as well. So in the sprite renderer, where we've got this color, we can basically like just set it to like a weird color for now. So it will show that you can interact with it. Obviously, at some point, I'll do it so that it has like a nice white border. And then with this still selected, we go into the animator, and now we need to set up some stuff. So we go into parameters, add a Boolean for no, what was it called? Add a boolean for can interact. And just to make sure, sometimes you want to grab this because this is just a string, so it's just a string comparison, and just paste it in. Let's just pop these under here, keep everything nice and neat. So the coffee machine on idle, and then we've got the coffee machine can interact. So this is basically the default state will be idle, right? So then if I make a transition to the can interact, and then remove everything, and then we'll add can interact to true, right? And then we'll make another transition to go from here back to not to idle. And then effectively we will do can interact to false. So let's see if this works or it's completely broke. Any debug logs? Yeah, loads of them. Check that out. So what is that referencing? It's referencing this. Toggle is current interactable. Okay. Toggle is current interactable, public void, animate can interact. It might be, is our animator set? Let's just comment that out, just double check that it is definitely that. It's just sometimes it's good to just double check that you haven't like got something that isn't set. So our coffee machine is set here. So if we come out, double check that our interactable up here has everything. Overrides, no overrides. Okay, let's just double check again. Definitely check that it was that toggle, right? Yeah, our interact's still working. So we've got a bug, an actual bug, one like a bug, like a bug. Oh, okay. This is probably so if nearest, right? It's probably doing it because I think it's outside. It's in this for each. So like this is just going to run. And obviously this starts off as null. Let's keep that in for now. Let's try again. I think once I got this done, I'll probably stop soon for today. Been like a nice little stream just to get into the flow of things. But let's see. Oh, look. That's not quite what I envisaged. It's because I realized. So let's do this. So I realized what we really want is we want show is current and then hide is current, because basically what it's doing is it's like constantly toggling on and off, right? So if we go show is current and then hide, I mean, right now there isn't really enough like code in here to like separate this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically just do this. So remove that as well. Actually, let's just copy and paste another one of these. Set this to true, and then remove. So now what we've done is we've just got a function that's going to show if it's interactable or hide if it's interactable, or if it's the current interactable, right? That's the easier way to do it. So now let's change this to this. It should just show it once. Oh no, what we need to do is if not is current interactable. So this will only do it once. This will only do it once. It won't just keep running that function. So basically, if it's not the current interactable, make it the current interactable, right? And then the same with actually this. I think no, I think that would be right as well. We'll find out later. So if it is the current interactable, then make it false and turn it off. If it already is not the current interactable, don't do it again, right? So this should fix that red thing. It won't turn off. Like we need to add some more stuff to turn it off. Hey, there we go. So obviously it's not turning off, but that did it. So now we need to turn it off. So I'm just sending some of this stuff to AI again, just to give me the thought process. Sometimes getting the thought process is really useful for me because I find it difficult. But yeah, let me. Okay. Okay, cool. So it's recommending basically doing something like last interactable. Well, not in here, inside the player. This is where, like, at some point, what I like to do is I like to just get moving, get some stuff done, and then at some point I'll refactor stuff, right? So like I can refactor this all into an interaction, like player interaction thing. So then what we can do, let me have a look. So hide is current interactable on the old one, right? So the theory is, this is the theory. This is what makes me have to think about stuff. So the theory is we've got this last interactable, right? So basically, if up here we do if last interactable not equals nearest, then we set it, right? So we set it to that. But if it so if the last interactable is not the same as nearest, so basically it's the same one as you're currently looking at, or they're both currently null, then don't do anything. But if it's not equal to that, set it to the nearest one. So that's the last interactable, right? which in theory is going to be the same as the current interactable. Because then as soon as you walk away from it, it's going to go null. But maybe up in here, if what we do is if last interactable not equals null, then last interactable dot hide current interactable, right? Let's see. I'm not confident in that code, but sometimes writing code and then just doing it is cool. It's cool. It just moves you forward, right? Just make some code. If it breaks, great. Delete it and then try again. Who cares? You haven't got a one shot every single piece of code. Okay, let's have a look. So we've got our little coffee machine. It goes red. Ooh. Nice. Okay, so we've got like a nice little interact system here, right? So the further you move down, then you're not really looking at it anymore. You're sort of looking here, right? That's pretty cool. That's working actually. Nice. So we can walk up to the coffee machine, click, you get a nice interaction, walk away, click, nothing interacts with. Oh, I've collapsed it again. So if I... Nothing. Clicked. So what's really nice about this now is we can use this interactable for like loads of stuff. We basically built like a nice little cool interact system. We could even drag this interactable and drop it onto a customer so that we could interact with the customer. We could drop it onto the shop register, the food prep station, like everything. It's not going to be perfect. Like we're going to have to do some more work on it, right? But like, I think, yeah, cool. Like I'm pleased with that. So yeah, we achieved what we wanted to do in our first live stream. So yeah, I'm well pleased with that. Oh, what do you mean, Tank? In terms of examine options, like right click? Do you mean like right click examine, or is that what you mean? To like, yeah, we could actually. I wonder if we'll have to test it. I wonder if like using left click and right click would be nicer than. Oh, for sure. Yeah. Everything should have a little bit of lore for sure. Yeah, 100%. I want to do that. Like, I think once we start testing stuff more, and if we're like, oh, a click would be nice versus like just pressing E, then I think like we could easily introduce right click, or we could. It would be nice to have like maybe a context menu, right? Like where you right click and you can click use, or you can click examine. Like, yeah, that would be quite nice. Because I'd love to just do stuff as well where we like reference back to the other stuff that Cool Cats has done. So you right click on, you right click on the coffee machine, and it's like, oh, this is the coffee machine that Ardi made. It makes fine coffee, like, and then we could basically kind of have stuff that kind of like explain stuff, which would be really cool. Yeah, definitely want to do an examine option. Actually, that reminds me, I want to keep a note somewhere of suggestions that people have made with names. So I will, yeah, I'll keep that suggestion in like a little Trello board somewhere, and I'll have your name on it. So you've been warned. When the examine system starts doing my head in, I'll be sending you a DM. But yeah, cool. So that was the first kind of, I guess, official Ardi's workshop, if you like. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I'm definitely going to do more of these. We'll keep trying to produce more content. I know next week we've got some more cool content coming. So yeah, make sure to stay tuned, and don't forget to follow and subscribe to @CoolCatsGlobal on YouTube for more streams, and then also obviously on X, Cool Cats. And then I might post up some like really stupid like little video stuff that I'm just like interested in on my YouTube. So that'll be @Linkoid. You should be able to see. Let me have a look. Can I customize this names? There we go. So yeah, you should be able to see. You'll be able to follow me, Linkoid, on YouTube, but then also Cool Cats Global on YouTube. Obviously, the stream tomorrow. You'll want to follow Cloncast on Twitch. I think that's right. Some random person though, but yeah, follow Cloncast on Twitch for the stream tomorrow. And yeah, thanks everyone for joining in the journey. There might be more progress on this. Like I probably will work on this, not just on stream. So you might see some more progress in between stream, either from like little videos or whatever, or just when the next stream comes on, you might just see some more stuff. So yeah, thanks for joining everyone, and I'll see you on the next one. Oh, also, this is a temporary stream setup, so the next one, fingers crossed, I can get my Ethernet cable working, and I'll be in like my proper stream area, if that makes sense. But yeah, thanks everyone. And I'll